Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 44. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian Podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Today, we're going to be talking about the DC Fandome and recent PlayStation 5 news. Then we'll be going into our recent activities, including Tell Me Why Episode 1. Then we'll be closing the show out with the Super Mario 35th Anniversary Direct. But first, we have to address the passing of Chadwick Boseman. It was announced late last night on August 28th that he had passed away after a 4-year battle with colon cancer. And when I first saw this news, I was, like everyone else, shocked in disbelief that this even happened. Just by watching him in in interviews and things like that, it seemed like he was a very kind-hearted person, and it just sucks that we lost another one in 2020. So...
Yeah, I mean, I think just like everyone, it caught me by surprise too. You know, I saw it the night it happened. And, it just caught everyone by surprise. Like, no one really knew he had cancer or that it was as bad as it was. And it kind of says a lot about him that he continued to, greet fans and things like that, and, kept, pushing through it just to, I don't know, just to, I guess, not make people worried about him and things like that. That just takes a lot of, effort on him, and I really appreciate that what he did there, just to just keep greeting fans and not let the cancer really get the best of him until he couldn't do it anymore. But he really fought till the end there. Obviously I love his movies and things like that. Black Panther was one of my favorite MCU movies. I think it's definitely up there, and I just really love the character, and I was really looking forward to seeing him in more stuff. But it's sad that he's gone, but I think what he's done with just the community for both the MCU and for the Black community has been super inspiring and things like that. So yeah, it really sucks that he passed away, especially in this year, So yeah.
Yeah. 2020 has definitely not been very kind, and
no.
Yeah. I agree with pretty much everything you said. It's definitely very tough, or it's definitely very brave for him to do all that stuff, being able to film these movies and do what he did. And after he passed, I guess I just didn't appreciate him in the role as much as I did, because after he passed I was like, fuck, man, that really sucks. But yeah, whatever happens in the future now with Black Panther is obviously not the time to really discuss it, but it is what it is. Definitely sucks, but yeah, that's all I could really say, because it honestly is just super sad for me to really even talk about this, because I don't know, I guess I liked Chadwick Boseman more than I realized, so
yeah, it just sucks. I think everyone's been really, really sad about this news, because it just came so suddenly and things like that. So, but as you can see, he was very beloved in a lot of communities, so yeah, he will be missed.
Yeah, so let's get past that and talk about the DC Fandome, which is pretty much DC's little Comic-Con digital event thing that they had. They dropped a lot of trailers for movies and games, so we're pretty much just going to go in order of where they showed them off. So they showed off another Wonder Woman 1984 trailer, which interesting enough, this movie would have been out at this point if it wasn't for COVID, which that sucks. But once again, the trailer still the movie still looks great. I cannot wait to see this in theaters or whichever way they decide to release this, because I really like Gal Gadot in this role as Wonder Woman. So
yeah, I really like Wonder Woman. I don't really watch too many DC things. I'm not as attached to the DC property like I am with Marvel, but I really did like Wonder Woman. During that time when Marvel was I don't know, not Marvel, I'm sorry, DC was taking more their movies that just seem more fun. This and Shazam I really liked. So I'm really looking forward to this 1984, which is because I really like Wonder Woman the first one. So yeah. That because this isn't a trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, but the CG of the cat lady kind of freaked me out, but
oh yeah.
But
I forget, I think she's literally called the Cheetah, and I think this is the first time we've seen the full CG cat,
right?
So I mean, she doesn't look that bad. It's
not that
Cat's
bad
level.
Yeah, it's just a little freaky still.
Yeah, it's just comic book movies.
That's true. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Cause yeah, I like the first Wonder Woman. So
Hmm.
so next we got Gotham Knights. So this is made by what's their face? No, not I keep getting the developer. Are these the people that made the Arkham games, or is that the other Suicide Squad game? I forgot.
That's Suicide Squad.
Okay.
But this one's made by WB Montreal, which made one of the Arkham games, I
Right,
believe it
Origins,
was.
right?
Yeah, Origins.
Okay, yeah. So this game is different because instead of just playing as Batman, you're now playing as four different people. You're playing as Robin, Batgirl, right?
Yeah.
What's his face? Uh,
Nightwing.
Nightwing, yeah, Nightwing and the other dude. I'm not
Red Hood.
Red Hood, yeah. So yeah, and this gameplay style is a lot different from those games, obviously, because now it's like a four-player, or not even a four-player like co-op game. It's just a two-player one, but you have four characters apparently. And some people were put off by the gameplay trailer because it showed like levels next to their name. So I guess people are like, "Oh no, is it gonna be like a live service game?" Which I don't think it is. I just think it's doing like the what the new Assassin's Creed games do, which is like there's just levels and things like that. But obviously people don't
Hmm.
like that anyway. So, but in terms of the trailer itself, I thought like the story trailer was cool. You know, it opens up with Batman's dead, so now like his sidekicks have to like pick up the slack, I guess. And then again, in terms of gameplay, it just looks like what I would expect it to be, which is
Hmm.
third person superhero game. So, I mean, I think it looks good. Graphically, it looks good as it's coming into our next gen plus previous gen since coming out next year. So, well, what did you think about this?
Yeah, Gotham Knights definitely looks good, I will say. I think a lot of people, um, even after like Arkham City, or not Arkham City, Arkham Knight, which was
Yeah.
like the newest like sort of like Arkham game and like in this style sort of thing, the third person sort of action Batman game. This one looks good. They're definitely taking more action RPG elements, which I think is reminiscent of the recent Assassin's Creed games, like you said,
Hmm.
which I'm fine with. You know, like it's just how games are. They evolve over time, and whichever one seems to succeed with it, other people will adapt it in their games, such as Gotham Knights. And the fact that they are being more focused on like the sidekicks, I think, is interesting. I'm a huge fan of like the Red Hood and Robin. So seeing them get like their own sort of game where you get to play as them and Batman's not even in the picture is going to be interesting. But it is coming to previous and next gen. And that will be coming out 2021. So very excited to see more of this game. I hope it doesn't do as bad as Arkham Origins, because I know a lot of people didn't like that game, but personally I didn't see a problem with it. But yeah, WB Montreal, I think that they can do really good with this game. So
Yeah.
next thing is the Suicide Squad movie. So we had a roll call trailer and then a sort of like sneak peek trailer where like they showed like on set stuff.
Yeah, and
So
like James Gunn was really like, "This is gonna be my best movie ever. Like, it is gonna be amazing." I'm like, "All right, well, let's see until it comes out."
yeah, definitely we know like James Gunn just from like watching his work with like Guardians of
Yeah.
the Galaxy. He knows how to work with a lot of characters at once. And yeah, I mean like the movie looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'm like super impressed with it just yet. I do like James Gunn as like a director, obviously, because the Guardians films are really good and definitely the shining mark of the MCU. But there's a lot of people in this movie.
Hmm.
Like I didn't know that John Cena was in
Yeah, me either.
it. So when I saw him in the trailer, I was like, "Oh shit, he's in the movie." And Idris Elba and like a bunch of other like well-known actors, and yeah, it's definitely going to be a interesting movie when it does eventually come out in theaters. 2021 once again. But yeah, would you think of this so far?
It was a lot of characters. Like when they were doing that roll call thing, I'm like, "Oh my god, it keeps going." There's a lot of characters
Hmm.
in this movie. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be on all of them. It's probably just gonna be on like maybe five of them or something. Like I don't know if it's gonna do like a Deadpool 2 thing, like half of them die, but I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I like James Gunn. I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think he could do a good like these sort of like wacky like team up superhero slash villain movie type things. Like Guardians of the Galaxies were. So yeah, I have faith in him that this will be good. Just like do the Suicide Squad justice, I guess, because they're really pushing the Suicide Squad now, DC. So maybe they have a lot of faith in this movie. I'm not too sure because I feel like if this flops, then like I think they might just like, all right, no more Suicide Squad. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I mean, I didn't even hate the first Suicide Squad that much. Like, I think people kind of over exaggerated how bad it was. I thought it was just like meh, like, but it wasn't like offensive. Like, I didn't like hate it. So yeah, I think this will be good. I have faith. I have faith that this will be good. Again, it didn't show too much because it wasn't really a trailer. It was just like a behind the scenes thing. So until we get the first actual trailer, then I'll, really have a better judgment on how it's gonna be. But as of right now, I'm giving the benefit of a doubt.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of Suicide Squad, we got the trailer for the game. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, which is coming out in 2022. So yeah, this is still pretty far away, and this trailer is just it's just a CG trailer, just showing like the premise of it being that you have obviously all the Suicide Squad people, got like Captain Boomerang and Harley Quinn and stuff like that, and now they're fighting the Justice League, but they're like evil now. So yeah, they're really like doing that concept, by the way, like let's make them evil. They really like doing that. So yeah, so I guess like you're gonna be fighting like Superman and all the other Justice League people as like Harley Quinn and stuff like that. Again, they didn't really show anything. It was just a CG trailer, just a cool like here's what it's gonna be about, and those trailers like you can't really say much about them, but obviously we know it's gonna be like the Avengers game where it's like I think it's supposed to be like a live service game where like you fight raids and all that other stuff. So people are still like kind of hesitant on this game. I'm gonna wait until gameplay, but it's probably not gonna be anything that special. What do you think about this? Would you rather just have a regular Suicide Squad game or like something that's not like a live service game or what? Because yeah.
I mean, personally, I'm not too familiar with like live service games in general.
Yeah.
But the game in the description is described as a brand new action adventure shooter. So that could mean anything. I'm gonna be honest. Action adventure shooter. What the hell? But this is 100% coming only to next gen along with PC in 2022. Which is really far away, I'm going to be honest, but we might be there sooner than you expect because 2020 is already in September, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Justice League are evil, and we're playing as the good guys now, supposedly. There's probably some like really like bullshit plot where like some bigger villain got control of the Justice League and yada yada yada, and now we have to kill them. But yeah, this is Rocksteady's new project. I think a lot of people were wondering what Rocksteady were doing, and this is their newest thing that they are showing off, and I guess they've been working on this for years at this point, I hope. If not, that would be really troll. If they weren't working on this, then there must have been something in between there that must have got canned. But yeah, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I'm not like excited for it, but I am eager to see what the game actually looks like you said, with like actual gameplay and things like that. So
yeah, basically, like I can't really judge it until like I've actually seen it, so I'm just gonna wait on that.
Yeah. Next thing we got here is a very quick little teaser trailer for Black Adam. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, he is playing as Black Adam, and this is just like a little sort of like concept sort of teaser video where they show like moving pictures and things like that. But yeah, I mean, he looks good in the suit and things like that. But yeah, he's gonna be like the villain for like the Shazam, I believe, for like the next movie or whatever. So they're gonna have like the solo film.
Yeah, like he's supposed to be like bad Shazam or something, right? Like, yeah, I mean, I like Shazam a lot, so if they have like the same writers and things like that, I'll be down with that. Like, I really like Shazam, so yeah, hopefully, I like The Rock also, so hopefully he brings like that same energy and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. If it's good, obviously. All right, so speaking of weird things, here's the Snyder cut for Justice League. It was a trailer, a really weird trailer too. It was just like playing Hallelujah and like it's just like just showing a bunch of things. I mean, I never watched. Did you watch Justice League? Because I didn't.
I did. Okay. I didn't think it was that bad, but then again, I'm not like a super hardcore like DC EU like cinematic universe sort of guy.
Right.
But the original Justice League, like, you could obviously tell where the reshoots were done. Like, the beginning of the film is all Snyder because it's very much dark and, like, grim and shit, edgy. But once you see, like, the other stuff that, like, Joss Whedon, like, sort of took over, then it gets more jokey and things like that. And I guess the Snyder fans don't like that shit. So,
Right.
me personally, I thought that it was a fun movie. It's not like a great movie by any means. Like I can see why people say that it's bad. Personally, I didn't even notice that like they like CGI'd like Superman's mustache when I was watching the movie. I didn't even notice. I'm gonna be honest. Like a lot of people will say that like, oh my god, it was so distracting. I was like, was it? I didn't even know. Like I guess I must have been like oblivious to like what was going on with his face because I guess I just wasn't looking there. But going back to this Snyder Cut trailer, I mean, it's just a bunch of like random clips. It's supposed to be like a 4-hour movie, which is kind of crazy at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't know how they're gonna make this like super interesting or engaging for me personally, because I've watched all of the other Snyder movies that he's done for DC. I believe he did Man of Steel. He definitely did Batman v Superman. And I watched the extended cut for Batman v Superman, and that shit did not change my opinion whatsoever. It actually made it worse. I'm gonna be honest. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what like the DC fans are really like expecting here when it comes to the Snyder Cut. Like suddenly the movie's gonna be like 100 times better from like the original product, because like I don't see that happening. But we're just gonna have to wait and see, because once it does drop, I'm sure the DC fans on Twitter will let you know if it is good or not. If they're silent, it's probably good. If they're really loud, it's probably gonna be really dog then. So yeah, 4 hours of Justice League. I hope it doesn't turn out as bad as I think it is.
I think it will. But I guess we just have to wait until it actually comes out,
Yeah,
which is next
definitely.
year on HBO Max.
Yeah, HBO Max. But I think the most exciting trailer from everything here is the Batman.
Yes.
Because it is Rob Pattinson, which a lot of people were very skeptical of him taking the role. Which personally, I was like, yeah, he did Twilight, he got the bag, and then he did some other stuff, which, not a lot of people knew him for that stuff, because he's just like, oh, he was Edward in Twilight. But this trailer really showed that like Edward Pattinson, or Edward, god damn it,
Nice.
Robert Robert Pattinson in this role as Bruce Wayne / Batman is really good. And obviously I'm only saying that based on this trailer, but it looks like that he is honestly taking on this role with a lot of like seriousness, and he's not like sort of like half-assing it. Like he's actually putting his all into it. And the director Matt Reeves, he has a lot of faith in this version of Batman as well. And I like what DC is doing with like the sort of like multiverse sort of like movies. Like it's not like a cinematic universe, but it's more like there's a bunch of different versions of like Batman and things like that, and they're just like working with that. So yeah, and to those people that are like, when is like the Joker gonna be with Batman, like that's probably not gonna happen for these movies, I'm gonna be honest. Just because
Yeah.
they're very much keeping them separate.
I think that's for the best, because I think DC has been better when they've not been focusing on like an MCU or DCU, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love Joker. I really like Shazam, Wonder Woman. Like they didn't really like matter to each other, but like I still like them a lot as just movies, and I think that's what they should focus on, is just making good movies first, and then like don't even try to connect them, because I feel like the moment you try to connect them, it just becomes a mess. The
Mm-hmm.
MCU kind of had a plan from the start, like, and then they just start building up from like it took them 10 years like get to where they are now, and like that takes a lot of planning. DC would just try to do that from the start, and then like just rush it, like just like with Justice League and things like that. It just did not work. Like but any movie that was supposed to be super tied in, like Aquaman, I don't hear anything like anyone talking about Aquaman. Like that movie is just like whatever. It's just like I feel like they should focus on making a unique good movie first, like Shazam or Joker, and then like maybe worry about connecting it second or not at all. So yeah, I think this is a good move by DC, because I really did like all their recent movies, and I'm looking forward to this new Batman. So yeah, not much else I could say about it. I mean, it looks really cool. I know everyone's really hype about it. I think Riddler is supposed to be a thing in this, because that I had question marks
Mm-hmm.
at the end, so I'm not too sure. So,
Yeah, I
but yeah.
think the Riddler and the Penguin are like the main bad guys in this movie. I'm not entirely sure. I really don't care, gonna be honest. As long as I can see Robert Pattinson kill his role as the Batman, I'm all in. It's actually crazy to me that this trailer has 21 million views already. Like that is nuts for a All right, I guess it's not nuts for like a superhero trailer, but for a DC trailer, I think
guess because
that's kind of crazy.
I guess because it's Batman, and Batman's like the most popular one, so.
Yeah, and probably Robert Pattinson. He probably drew in some fangirls, you know.
Oh
But the eyeshadow being like sort of like canon in like the movies now, I think that's very cool because that's always been a thing in the comics, but it's never been adapted in like live action. So, but that's the last thing I'll say about this.
All right. So, actually, I'm gonna let you talk about the Flash because I don't know anything about the.
Oh, okay. I got you, bro. I got you. All right. Last thing is Ezra Miller's The Flash. So this is like very like early like a sort of like concept
Oh
look,
wait,
I
is this
guess.
supposed to be
At
like not the show? Is this like a movie?
Yeah, so this is the movie.
Oh,
This is the Flashpoint movie.
Okay.
But if you don't know about Ezra Miller, there's like a controversy story where like he like choked a woman on like camera or whatever.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know if that was ever addressed or whatever, but like that shit, I was like, you gonna cancel this guy or what? Because like it was very clearly him, and like he did it with like force or whatever. I was like,
oh my god. All right.
But outside of that, you know what? This Flashpoint movie, so they got new costumes,
Okay.
made by Batman. So that's like what they're going off of, and there will be appearances by Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton reprising their roles as Batman, like their own versions of Batman.
Right.
So a lot of people are excited for Ben Affleck to return to the role because they thought that he was gone with like, you know, no like proper like, I guess, send off film sort of thing. Like the last movie he did was Justice League, and you know they didn't like, or like he didn't know that was gonna be his last Batman film, but I guess now he knows that this Flashpoint film is going to be. And I guess this is their way of doing what's it called, like the cinematic like multiverse. So like the quote from the article is the cinematic multiverse is going to be born out of this film.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I guess they just didn't want to replace Ezra Miller because that shit, I was just like, oof. But yeah, I mean, it looks all right, I guess. I mean, at this point, we've been expecting a Flash movie for like years at this point, and it's just like, just fucking release it at this point. Like, just get it done. Like, I really don't care what you do with it.
Right. Like, I don't know too much about the Flash, but yeah, I think he deserves a movie. I mean, isn't he? He's a pretty popular DC character. I'm surprised he never really got anything besides like the CW show. Like, I mean, I guess that makes money, I guess, because they keep making it. Or are they? I don't know. I'm not that familiar with like too much DC stuff, so. But yeah, if they can make a good movie out of Flash, then that's good. I'll watch it, as long as it's not a mess.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Flash has gained popularity because of the CW show,
Right.
and that's because the CW show was good at first. I say at first because the show's still going, and I honestly think the show has turned into a CW mess. But you know, if the cast and crew, you know, they still like making the show, then keep going. But me personally, I've dropped that since like season 5 when they like brought in Iris, which is the Flash's like wife or girlfriend or whatever, and like their kid like from the future came into their timeline, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Like 1 to 2 episodes into season 5, I was like, yep, I'm not watching 3 episodes of this nonsense. I'm good. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting for this Flashpoint movie because they probably should have done this a long time ago, where they were just like multiverse. Now there's a bunch of other, you know, versions of the characters and whatever, but that's probably too much for like normies to really understand anyway. So they're just like, fuck it, we'll just like release this Joker movie, release this Batman movie, we'll just do whatever. So
Right.
and I think that's fine for DC, like you said. So
All right. So stepping out of the DC stuff, because that was the last of the fandom things. Interesting game here, which like I guess like really impressed a lot of people. Black Myth Wukong. Basically, it's like you play as Wukong. You know, if you know who Wukong is, monkey boy. And it looks like sort of like an action RPG. Yeah, it kind of looks like Dark Souls a little bit. I don't know if it really is supposed to be, but it looks cool. Like from the gameplay they showed. And the reason why this is also really big news is apparently made like is one of the first few like Chinese AAA like games, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it definitely looks impressive. You know, I love the Chinese like mythological stuff they have going on with the enemies and of course like Wukong and things like that. So yeah, from what they showed, it looks pretty good. And yeah, again, people were just going nuts about this, so I think it was worth talking about.
Definitely, a lot of people were impressed by this. But last time I saw this many people impressed by like a new game was Watch Dogs. So you know, guys, be careful.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
but
yeah, you should be careful about.
Yeah, definitely people are a lot more cautious about like first gameplay trailers and looks because sometimes it's not gameplay and it's actually I'll see just one big ass sort of trailer, but it actually does look in engine because textures are popping in and out. But some people think that they're like faking it or whatever, which conspiracy theorists do what you want.
That's a lot of effort.
Yeah, that would be a lot of effort to just do that for like 13 minutes straight. But yeah, like you said, this is one of like a newer game coming from a Chinese indie developer, which I think is new because China isn't really known for like the games that look like this. Like normally when you think about games from China, it's like mobile games.
Yeah.
But this game is like a new action RPG or whatever. So and it's gonna use Wukong, and I'm very familiar with Wukong because of League of Legends. But in other games, I think he's in Smite or whatever.
Like a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, they use Wukong in a lot of other games, but yeah, the game does look good. It definitely looks impressive graphically, but I'm gonna need to see some like story stuff because that's what I'm into. So yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, I think it looks good, and I'll look forward to it to be released because it looks like my jam. So yeah, I'll be happy for that.
All right, so now we got some PlayStation 5 news. So this was just a little random thing, but I think we all knew this was coming. That the PlayStation 5 will not be backwards compatible with PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, or PlayStation 1 games. Says Ubisoft, because Ubisoft sort of like leaked this in like their like FAQ thing, which if you go on the website now, I don't even think it's there anymore. So like they like removed it, but I saw it myself in like a screenshot or whatever that like, yeah, they like straight up said that like you can't play PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 games on the PS5. So I think we all knew this just because there is a digital edition for the PlayStation 5 being released. So doing backwards compatibility on one console over the other, which just wouldn't make sense. And I think that Sony's gonna continue doing their backwards compatibility via like the PlayStation Network store with like their streaming service, or like you just rebuy the games as like, their what's it called? Sort of just like backlog or whatever of games.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected, like, I'm happy. It looks like it's going to be, fully compatible with PS4. That's great. I mean, I was hoping it would be backwards compatible with PS3 just so I could get rid of my PS3, because I think I have like the old launch, like the first launch PS3s, and it's still kicking. But yeah, it's definitely, I feel like it's on death's door, and I'm like, I kind of was hoping the PS5 would be able to play it, but it's kind of expected it wouldn't. So I'm just happy it could play PS4 games, because the PS4 not being able to play PS3 games was dumb. So I'm happy that the PS5 is able to play PS4 games. As there's still a lot of games I have on my backlog for PS4 that I still want to get around to. So I could just play it on PS5 and that would be good. But yeah, again, like you said, it makes sense that it wouldn't be compatible with PS3, 2, or 1 because the digital versions exist. It makes sense for the digital versions to just use the same, again, like you said, the same backlog of the PS4 games, because they're probably going to use the same PSN store that the PS4 had. Like the PS3 PSN store looks totally different from the current one. So I expect the PS5 PSN store to look exactly the same as the PS5 one. So it makes sense that they would be backwards compatible with PS4. But yeah, and I kind of a bummer, but kind of totally expected. I'm still happy it's backwards compatible with PS4. That's really all I can ask for. So yeah, I'm it's expected news, but yeah. But yeah, I guess we have some more PS5 news if you don't want to talk about. We got the pre-order registration page is open for anyone that has like I guess like a Sony account already, like a PlayStation account. I tried to do this. I don't see anything like.
Oh yeah,
are you supposed
okay.
to email you or what?
So what browser are you using?
I'm using Chrome. Is that
okay.
an issue?
It shouldn't be, because I was using Brave and like it wasn't pop. So like when you click on it, it should. So like when you sign in, you should be able to like put in like your PlayStation ID and like confirm your PlayStation ID or whatever. But once you do that, I guess they'll like go through. It's based on like how often like you use the place, like how often you use like PlayStation applications. So like when they give out like these permissions to pre-order directly from Sony, they're not giving it to like scalpers or whatever, which I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people were trying to chase the bag and were like, yeah, I played a lot of PlayStation, but fuck it, if I could flip this for like $1,000 or whatever, I'm gonna do it, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, like me personally, like if I get one, I'm obviously gonna like use it to like actually play games and like stream. but I know that there's a lot of other people out there that obviously like registered, like thousands of people registered directly through Sony to like get a pre-order, which I'm not sure if this is the only way you can pre-order the system. That'd be really dumb because I would love to just see like websites just like crash and just like instantly sell out in like 2 seconds because that's always fun to see. But yeah, so there is a way to directly pre-order from Sony, and you just have to register, which is weird, but it makes sense because the PlayStation 5 is definitely the most hyped console of this next generation compared to Xbox, I would say, just because PlayStation is so big because of the rise of the PlayStation 4. But yeah, if you register, you might get a chance. You never know. But they're definitely going to base it off of how much you play like PlayStation games and things like that. So, if you're like me and Damien and only use it to like play the exclusives, I think our chances are definitely half. But to those people who literally play PlayStation only, I think their chances are really high. So.
I just registered right now. I use my phone. All right. And yeah, I don't know. It didn't show up on Chrome for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, the website is definitely like a little buggy because when I was doing it on my browser Brave, which is pretty much just like Chrome, but like for some reason like some websites on Brave just like don't work. When I was doing it on Brave, like the box wasn't popping up. I tried to straight up sign in and like it just wouldn't let me. So then I like changed the password and then it said like server timeout. I was like, this is bullshit. So then I changed to Chrome and then like everything worked and I was like, that's weird. But yeah, you just register and hopefully you get an email, which that email is going to let you have access to the pre-order. So, and everything's limited to one. So that's good. So people can't like scalp as easily. So if you're going to get one, you got to like sell that one. So
yeah, like I think it's a smart move, because they already are like super limited on like how many consoles they're making because of COVID. So it makes sense to do it this way, but it is a little annoying. But if it makes sure scalpers don't get it, I'm for that. So
yeah, definitely a little annoying because I found out about this like a couple days after. I was like, wait, they opened pre-orders? And I was like, oh, it's just a registered thing. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just sign up and hope I get an email because, I definitely want to play Spider-Man on launch.
I was going to say, my wallet is very, and apparently, and we're going to talk about this when we talk about Ratchet. I think Ratchet's supposed to be like a launch window game now or something. So, like, if it's coming out sooner than later, then I'm like, yeah, I really need to get one of these like, now. So, yeah.
But before Ratchet, we got to talk about this quick Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase. So this one's just all rhythm games, which I was like okay with because rhythm games are cool. Right. It was literally all rhythm games. So except for like the last couple of things, which are whatever. But I think a lot of people before the Mario Direct and even after the Mario Direct, I think Nintendo fans are a little pissy because they just think they deserve everything in the world from Nintendo, which they don't. But besides the point, this Direct Mini I was fine with. It's just a bunch of rhythm games. So like if you're into rhythm games, like this is your shit. So this is the first game they showed off was Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, which I think Square has been doing a lot of like rhythm based games for like their IPs, and they're finally doing one for Kingdom Hearts. And I think this is a Switch exclusive. I'm not entirely sure.
It's canon to the story.
Oh yeah, supposedly it's also canon, which that's definitely the most Kingdom Hearts thing they can do. I'm gonna be honest. But the game looks fun. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. Like it's a rhythm game.
I think it looks pretty fun. Like I do want to get into the Kingdom Hearts series. So, I mean, I'm not going to play this like now, but it is something that looks pretty cool, so.
And it's supposed to come out November 13th, which is kind of soon. And then we got Fuser, which is a new game made by Harmonix, which if you guys don't know who Harmonix is, they made Rock Band. They made the first 2 Guitar Heroes before Activision yoinked that shit. Or like they sold it or whatever the case was, and then they were like, all right, screw it, we'll just make Rock Band. But yeah, this is like their new game, and it's coming out fall 2020. It looks interesting. I think every single game after Rock Band, they've just like tried to do something like really weird and obscure, and this one just seems like you're being a DJ, which I'm like, okay, go for it, I guess. Is there anything else?
I mean, the show Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. I know people love Puyo Puyo Tetris 1. I'm not really into like those like sort of like puzzle games, like the Puyo Puyo and the Tetrises and things like that. But I know people will be really excited for this because I know the first one a lot of people liked. Of course, Just Dance 2021. Oh boy.
Yes, sir.
And Jump Force Deluxe. So this, I don't even know. Like, it looks like alright, the game already looked like shit, but then you put it on Switch and it even looks worse. So I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's a deluxe version. It comes with what, all the DLC or
That's
whatever.
true. I mean, it comes with
I
everything,
mean,
but it looks like super downgraded, like because it's on Switch.
yeah. I mean, that's the sad reality of like most third-party titles on the Switch. They just look like garbage, which I guess should be expected because that's just what happens with most Nintendo titles. But hey, at least you get the advantage of a portable, console game in the palm of your hands if you so choose to leave your house in these times, which I don't know why you would. But the other game, Taiko no Tatsujin,
Yeah, that's
which
the
is
drum dude. Yeah.
yeah, it's the talking drum. This is a rhythm RPG, which supposedly these were on the 3DS before, but now they're coming to the Switch in like this collection pack, which I'm probably gonna buy just to like support it because I always liked the Taiko no drum like aesthetic and like the art style, but I've never like played the games. But I'm always down for rhythm games, no matter how like off rhythm I am. Last time I played a rhythm game was literally Rhythm Heaven on the DS, and I was so offbeat. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing?" But like I didn't like listen to music back then, so
Right.
like now I do. So maybe I'm a little better. I doubt it. But yeah, overall, this Direct Mini, it's what you expect from a Direct Mini. It's a goddamn Direct Mini. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it was a little less exciting than the last one just because SMT5 was announced and that was the thing people were waiting for. But I
Hmm.
mean, it was still fine. Like, it just came out of nowhere. Just hear some games and whatever. Like, it's not like I don't know why people always get so mad. I'm like, like it's fine. Like they're just showing some
Yeah.
like cool games. Just it's just a partner showcase anyway. It's not like an actual direct. So calm down.
Yeah. We know you wanted that Mario 3D collection, but you gotta like calm down.
So, I guess I'll talk about this. So, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart showed a extended gameplay demo, which was basically like the first level but uninterrupted. This was during
Hmm.
Gamescom, which didn't really have a lot, by the way. But Rift Apart. So yeah, basically, I just want to talk about this before I talk about any of the other stuff. Apparently, it is confirmed that it is not a sequel to the reboot like sort of series or whatever. It's supposed to be directly after Into the Nexus, so it's supposed to be back into like the sort of main timeline thing. That's
Hmm.
important to me. I don't know what else gives a shit, but it's important to me. So yeah, it's supposed to be after Into the Nexus, which makes sense because like there's rifts everywhere, the Dimensionator and stuff like that. So that's what I expected it to be. It kind of scared me at first because IGN was like, "Oh no, this is a sequel to the reboot." I'm like, "All right, you probably don't know anything, but I'm still scared." But yes, Soniac made sure like yes, this is a sequel to Into the Nexus, even though they're doing the thing like from the PS2 games to the future games where you don't really have to know what's going on, but it is gonna like reward you with little Easter eggs and things like that. So it might be a new start of a new trilogy. I don't want to say that yet, but who knows? It could be. But anyway,
Yeah.
as for the demo itself, it looks great. It's just showing more of that. I guess like that first bit, like maybe that first level that you do and things like that. Show more like the dimensional like tethering or whatever that is, where you like grapple hook a thing and then pull it towards you. I think that still looks really neat. Obviously
Hmm.
the game looks fantastic. You have different weapons and things like that. You have like some weird like plant turret thing and like things like that. Yeah, it just looks great. It's basically Ratchet and Clank on a PS5. But I guess the more exciting news is that it's going to be having a performance mode. So you can either play with 4K 30 FPS or 4K 60 FPS. I think that's supposed to be 1080, right? Or is that 4K?
uh, it's supposedly from the Game Informer article.
Oh
I
shit.
I literally like looked at it a couple times. I was like, is it actually just like they're gonna let you play at 30 and 60 in 4K, which I think they are. It could be 1080. I could be wrong. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
But either way, like I think having the option of like 30 to 60 is like good.
Yeah,
So.
like I will always pick the 60 FPS option as even if it's not 4K 60 FPS, if it's like 1080p, that's totally fine.
Hmm.
Like I really don't care that much about 4K right now. 1080p is totally fine to me, and if I could run that at a nice 60 frames, which I think is like it's not needed for Ratchet because they can make it work with 30 FPS like with the PS4 game. It's definitely
Hmm.
appreciated though. Like 60 FPS with a high speed like shooter platformer is always nice. So yeah, I really appreciate that performance option. I think they're doing that with Miles Morales as well. So Sonic
Yep.
really got that down, which is great.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely Rift Apart looks great. Like you said, this gameplay, extended gameplay demo, as they call it, which is sort of like the first level. It is also important to me that it is in the main timeline, not this whatever the fuck that movie reboot was
Yeah.
that they were trying to do. Oh, there goes the garage. Shit. But yeah, like overall, I'm still very excited for this game. The performance mode in it of itself, just even having that choice, is very nice. 30 FPS, 60 FPS, or you want the higher resolution because some people actually want higher resolution over higher frame rate, which I'm gonna say you're a little crazy, but you do you like shinier graphics, that's fine. Personally, I just want more frames because I think more frames just looks better in general. But yeah, it just looks great. The game
Yeah.
still looks awesome. So
I'm very excited for Rift Apart. Obviously, you guys, everyone probably knows at this point that I love Ratchet and Clank a little too much. So yeah, I'm very excited for Rift Apart. So
yeah, but the gameplay itself, the way like you shoot, so like, do we actually have to like aim at the enemies now, and it doesn't auto aim or what?
uh,
Because
I would maybe like maybe there's like I mean there's probably an option for like aim assist and things like that because usually Ratchet has that. Usually like some
hmm
bullets will like curve and stuff like that. I mean usually it's not a big of a problem anyway because the enemies are usually have pretty big hitboxes anyway. So I
hmm
never had a problem with like aiming in like other Ratchet and Clank games, so I don't think this one's gonna be any different. But who knows? It could be a little different because of like, it's like super HD or whatever. I don't know, but I guess we'll see. I'm also this is the only game I'm kind of excited for the haptic feedback, just because I think you could do some cool things with like the gun triggers and like how it feels with like the right like R2 and things like that. I think that'd be pretty neat. Like things like maybe have like different like things that you could like hold the button down and like charges differently. I don't know. I think it's gonna be pretty neat what they could do with the haptic feedback with this game. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, like, I love Ratchet and Clank so much.
Yeah, definitely very exciting. All right, so let's get into our recent activities. Once
Hmm.
again, I have a list, and you got like three things, so
Yeah, I've been
I'll let you go first.
been sort of busy. Started school again and work, and it's always
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. It'd
But
be like that.
yeah, but yeah. So I guess I could talk about the things I've been playing. Not too much. Been playing Guild Wars 2 again since I kind of stopped playing around 2 years ago or something. Like the last expansion came out 2017, and I played about a year. I did some of the post game patches and things like that. But afterward, the developer ArenaNet was in some like trouble with like maybe they weren't making enough money. There was a bunch of layoffs. There was like I was just like I just didn't want to play the game anymore just because I'm like, is this game still gonna be around in like 2 years or whatever? So I was like starting to get a little sad there because I love Guild Wars 2. It was one of my first MMOs I really played and got into just because it didn't have a sub fee because I couldn't really convince my mom to pay like $15 a month to play WoW or something. So like when Guild Wars 2 came out, it was really my first taste of that since it was just you just buy it and you play it. And I thought that was really
hmm
neat. And I still do think it's neat. Like Guild Wars 2 does a lot of really cool things that could make it kind of frustrating, but also like really refreshing to play after playing like more traditional MMOs. And I don't know, I just came to really appreciate that, especially now that I've been starting to play it again. It just feels good to play the game again since it's been so long. Definitely the content they added since the last like 2 years have been gone is like super good. I really like all the new maps they added. There's a ton of like new like things to collect and mounts to like ride on things like that. Which is also something I always love about this game. Like the mount system is super cool since in other MMOs you would just like ride a thing and just makes it go faster. That's about it's like a means to an end. In this game, like each mount, it's a like own little creature. So like one could like jump really high, or one could like fly a bit, and it's like super neat. I always love that system, and they added more post expansion, which is also cool to like do like that little quest chain to like get them and stuff like that. I think that's really neat. But besides that, yeah, I'm just dipping my toes into the game again since I forgot. I don't even know if I said this, but they announced a new expansion and the game is coming to Steam now, which really like reinvigorated. Like, okay, I think the game is gonna be doing okay now, so I don't feel as scared to like really get invested into it again. So hopefully it does well on Steam, and I'm very excited for the next expansion. I think MMOs need expansions to be alive. Obviously ArenaNet probably didn't have enough money to make one like when it should have, so I'm happy they're starting to do another one. So and I believe that's coming out next year. So yeah, I'm very excited for that expansion, and hopefully the game gets a breath of new life with the Steam release, which is supposed to be coming out November, I believe. So, but even then, the game's still doing pretty well. Like the population, like every time I go to a map, there's a ton of players. So it still seems like the game has a lot of life in it, which is great. Since I love Guild Wars 2, and I would be super heartbroken if it ever shut down. So yeah. Next game. This is sort of the next game I kind of want to sort of like really get into is Final Fantasy 8. Since I've been playing all the Final Fantasy games since like 4. Since like maybe 2-3 years ago, I've been wanting to play all of them. So yeah, I'm starting Final Fantasy 8. This one's really controversial with a lot of things from like the story to the gameplay stuff. And I can't really talk about the story yet because I'm not too far in. I could talk about the gameplay though, and yes, it is super janky. So unlike other like RPGs and things like that, you level up, you maybe have some skills you learn, very straightforward. You level up, you get stronger, all that good stuff. In Final Fantasy 8, it does things really weird where I think this is one of the first RPGs that has level scaling, which means a lot of Western RPGs do this now, but I think this is one of the first games that did it, where if you level up, the enemies level up with you, and what's that supposed to do is make it so you never feel like you have to grind to get stronger. Like you probably would never get like roadblock, in an encounter because you could just like, you don't have to level up anymore really. Like leveling up is kind of useless in this game. But the game never tells you that. It's just like built into the system that everyone knows about. So like the optimal way to play this game is just barely to level up. Like just don't fight anything, and then just equip these things called Guardian Forces onto your character. So these basically act as your gear. So you equip these things onto you, and you can like slot like a bunch of like magic. Since magic is also useless to like cast in battle, what you want to use magic for is like slot it into your stats. So you have like strength, right? And you have like maybe like 99 stacks of fire. You want to stack fire onto your attack stat, and then that gives you a huge increase in stats. So leveling up for your stats really doesn't matter. And like slotting magic into your stats is what matters. So basically, the short way to say this is you could be level 1. The enemies are like level 1 stats, right? You just equip a bunch of magic onto yourself, which makes your stats basically into like level 99 type territory. So you can just wipe everything out the whole game. So yeah, the game is very broken. It's fun. It's a fun broken. Like it is not like a frustrating broken. But yeah, its systems were definitely not thought out of, and I could see why people would hate that. I kind of like it just because I could break the game, and I like breaking games like that. But yeah, it's definitely a very weird mechanic that wasn't thought out at all. But yeah, in terms of just like as a PS1 game, I think the game looks great as well. I'm playing actually the remaster on Steam since that came out like last year. And yeah, but even without the remastered graphics, I think the game still looks way better than Final Fantasy VII in terms of graphics. Like Final Fantasy VII characters kind of look like poopy, like in this game, they actually look like people now, so that's really cool. There is a lot of effort put into this game. You could tell like the money from 7 was put into this game. There's a lot more FMVs and things like that, and yeah, it is well made, and I'm looking forward to seeing like sort of how the story progresses because I know that gets very controversial. So I'm very excited to see what my own thoughts are about Final Fantasy VIII when I get to it. So yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about Tell Me Why now. Or you want to go through your list first?
We could talk about Tell Me Why
Okay.
before we get into my stuff. So
I guess I could give
should we do spoilers or actually?
I mean, it's up to you. I don't know what you went.
Okay. Shit.
Maybe you should talk about your stuff and then we.
Yeah. So we'll do it at the end because I want to do spoilers.
Yeah,
I think that would make the discussion a lot more interesting. Okay. So I'll quickly go through my stuff. Valorant. I hate playing with randoms. That's what I've learned. They're really coin flippy, which is, just how playing with randoms is. But sometimes, now because there is a mic setting, sometimes they just be saying like the dumbest shit. And I'm just like, bro, you're getting muted. Like, I hate you. But I actually played one game of League yesterday because I was going to decay. So I played the game. I didn't lose lane. My top side lost. So GG, whatever. Goddamn. Sonic Adventure 2, me and Kobe did the race. That shit was hilarious because my dolphin stopped working halfway through. I don't know why. Like the stupid Tails cart section came up and then the game just like pooped itself. Oh, no. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just like level select on like my Steam version because for some reason the Steam version yesterday or like the day before I did the race, it was like at 2 times speed or whatever. I don't know what the hell it was, but like the game was moving faster than normal, and I was like, I'm just gonna have like a unfair advantage to Kofi because the game's just moving faster.
Right.
So I was like, I'm just gonna play on the dolphin, but the game crashed. So now I bought a a like really good like HDMI like sort of converter for my GameCube. So next time we do a race, which we were talking about, it might be Sonic Heroes, but first he has to play the game because he's never played Sonic Heroes.
Oh shit, really?
So yeah, so we might do that because that's like the closest thing to like, you know, like a sort of like 2 to 3 hour like story thing, because we don't want to fucking do dark story for SA2 because that's hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like a really fun race. We're probably gonna do more like other co-op streams in the future, but he's back in school, he's working again, so we don't know. I finished Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. My opinion of the game has not changed. It's pretty much what you expect. It's a action RPG retelling the entire story of Dragon Ball Z. Once you get to the fight with like Boo and stuff, there's like no filler. So like once you start doing that, don't worry about filler. Like you're actually just gonna keep replaying like the story or whatever. I know that there's like DLC, which like it's supposed to be like Dragon Ball Super stuff. They released one with like Goku and Vegeta like learning the Super Saiyan God form, just like the regular one with like the red hair or whatever. But there's supposed to be like 2 more, so I'm not sure what they're gonna adapt in those 2. But yeah, like I said, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, it's an action RPG retelling the story of Dragon Ball Z. It's like a 30-hour game, so if you know what to expect, you won't be disappointed. But I know a lot of people really dislike the game just because it's like, you know, the gameplay is like pretty much the same thing over and over again, but like it's Dragon Ball Z, so like I really don't care personally. Right. A indie game I played was Manifold Garden. This was a game that I was provided to, #free product. And it's interesting because it's a really like well thought out puzzle game. I did a thoughts video on it for like more like, I guess, like concrete thoughts on it. If you want like a more good or like better opinion on it than like me just like rambling right now. But yeah, the game's good. It's a very simplistic, minimalistic art style. The mechanics of the game are very simple to understand and get familiar with because the tutorial sort of like intro levels are like pretty good. But yeah, it's $20, which might seem like a lot for a indie title, but the game could last 5 to 6 hours depending on how good you are at puzzles. For me, maybe 7, gonna be honest. But yeah, the game is good. Definitely worth checking out if you're really into puzzle games. If you're not, you might want to steer clear from this one because this one is not easy at all, and you can't skip puzzles either. Like this is 100% a puzzle game where the puzzles are like the main game. So there's that. Then I watched a lot of anime. So first, Tower of God. This is a Crunchyroll original. It is a adaptation of I believe a Korean manga or like a Korean comic or whatever. Yeah. Which like Tower of God is still going on to this day in terms of like the comic form. The anime only got like 13 episodes, which supposedly the comic is actually a lot better, which I'm honestly not even gonna check out just because I don't have time for that. But this anime for like 13 episodes for what it was all right. It's like a okay shonen. It's not something that I would revisit or like I'm like a huge fan of, but I thought it was fun for what it was. FLCL, also known as Fooly Cooly. This shit is balls to the wall, sort of like crazy, like it sort of reminded me of like Kill la Kill just because of how like insane and like what the hell is going on, but like it's all done in the purpose for comedy. So I was like, oh okay, so like that's why like this shit's happening and like this weird things, you know, doing this and whatnot. And yeah, it's like 6 episodes or whatever, so it's not that long. I kind of just like watched it all in like one day because I can do that because I have a unhealthy sort of binging thing when it comes to anime. But yeah, like Fooly Cooly is like one of the animes that like a lot of people talk about that's like really, really good, and I liked it. There's 2 other seasons that they came out more recently in like the past like 10 years or whatever. They're both on Crunchyroll, but this one was on Funimation, but it's free on Funimation, I think. So you just watch the 6 episodes there or whatever, but I might watch the newer ones. Supposedly they're not as good, so I don't want to like ruin sort of like, you know, the legacy the first one had sort of thing, but I'm probably still going to watch the newer seasons. But I don't know why I fucking did this to myself, but I started watching Naruto. So I watched it on Funimation, but you could actually just watch it all on Netflix, and I didn't know that. But I watched it on Funimation because the way Netflix has it is like they split it into seasons, and when they split it into seasons, that episode number resets. So if I was like trying to like follow like a watch guide, I would literally have to look at the titles and not like the episode numbers, which may seem like a like minor thing, but for me personally, I was like, I didn't want to you know, like sort of be like, all right, so like season 3 on the Netflix thing is like episode like 20 something on like this like episode guide or whatever. So just like make it easier on myself, I just watched it on Funimation. But you need like the premium thing.
Yeah.
So like I didn't pay for that. I just like did like the 2-week trial, which my 2-week trial expires tomorrow, which I'll talk about my next pick because Cowboy Bebop is only on there for English anyways for like the premium subscription. But Naruto, I know the story of Naruto like front to back kind of. It's just that watching the anime, it was just for like details and like sort of like refreshing my memory on the story. And I just realized like no matter how like slow and dumb Naruto is, I love Naruto. Like I just love the show and the characters and the world. I skipped all the filler, by the way, because literally 40% of the show is filler. So I skipped all of it. So that's why I was able to actually watch it all. If I didn't skip all the filler, I would still be watching nonsense filler, because the way they did anime back then was that they didn't have like seasons or whatever. So like they just kept going, and like that obviously wasn't good for the show because half of it's filler. So I skipped all of the like the filler stuff just because I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time with it because I don't got that much time on my hand. But Cowboy Bebop, I started watching that. I'm not done with it yet. I got up to like episode 6 or 7. The show's really good. Despite like, you know, the hype that it gets, like it is honestly super good. There aren't like arcs as far as I could tell, for like the early stuff anyways. It sort of feels like a Saturday morning cartoon where like there's a thing that's happening and then Spike and Jet like fix it in like the same episode. Like they just like get it done. And the style the show has, like the amount of like coolness and like the music along with the animation, like everything about the show is just like very, very good to watch. Like it just feels good to like just like see everything that's going on screen, sort of thing. Also, the dub is not that bad either. The dub is actually like pretty good.
Yeah, I mean that's what I think. Even the creator said like he likes the dub more. It's like yeah, it is one of like the best dubs probably.
Yeah, and like I watched Naruto dubbed. I probably could have watched it subbed, but I wanted to watch it dubbed because that's just like what I grew up on, playing the Naruto games, which is how I know the story of Naruto is just by playing the games, and I know those voices and know those characters through that. But yeah, when I watch Shippuden, I'm definitely gonna watch it subbed because I'm not gonna resubscribe to Funimation to watch it subbed or dubbed or whatever the fuck. But let's talk about Tell Me Why, because this is a game that I forgot came out.
Yeah.
And I saw Jimmy Wetzel playing it on stream. I was like, oh shit, the game came out. Fuck.
Yeah, I also forgot it came out. I'm like, oh, whoops. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, oh look, Donut's new game. Let's check it out. And one thing that I will say is like before even like starting the game is like I'm glad they're releasing the episodes weekly and not like taking a whole month to like work on an episode, because that was like my main criticism of Life is Strange 2. And like people go onto my fucking review and like say like, that's not like a valid criticism or whatever. It's like, bitch, just because you played the game through the Steam Summer Sale and like played all 5 episodes back to back or whatever, I'm sorry, but this is how I experienced the game, all right? So please just like, it's also my opinion, so just hop off, all right?
I mean, I think it's a valid complaint just because it's like, yeah, the delays in its release and just like how far apart it was, it kind of just knocked the winds out of its sails. And I think that episodic format is just really outdated. Unless you're doing it weekly, I guess that's fine. But still, I think that sort of like that's dead. Like, don't do that anymore. Like that should have died with Telltale. Like it's like just never bring that episodic format back because it just doesn't work. I don't think it doesn't work anymore unless again you do it weekly. So
yeah, I think it's fine doing it weekly. I think it's also fine to just drop all of the episodes at once and just have it be like, all right, so you're going to start on episode 1, and then like, if you want to keep going, you'll on like episode 2 after, and then et cetera, et cetera. But for this game, like, what'd you think of like the story that it was like setting up?
So yeah, it's it's a pretty basic like like I guess like murder mystery type thing. Like, oh yeah, spoilers by the way.
Yeah, 100% we are doing spoilers on this game because it just makes for a more interesting discussion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you didn't play Tell Me Why, you probably should.
Episode 1. Yeah. We're only talking about episode 1 because we didn't play episode 2.
I didn't play episode 2 yet. So, but yeah, I guess like the story setup is like it's pretty basic in terms of like the overall story. It's just like murder mystery. You gotta figure out like why your mom was like kind of crazy, but maybe not crazy. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a pretty good setup. It's like not too crazy. It's not like Life is Strange 2, right? Where I think Life is Strange 2 was way too bombastic from the start, where it's just like, oh, like Daniel uses his powers, like wrecks things, and then dad gets shot, then you're on the run. Like it's a lot, like to take it. I thought it was good, but like I did think it was a lot. This game just gives me vibes of Life is Strange 1 again, where it's like it feels a little more grounded in terms of like how it's like set up and things like that. It looks like you're gonna be in one location the whole game, which is great. Like, it gives you time to like, you know, appreciate the characters and get to know them and things like that. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
just think the writing overall is just a lot better than Life is Strange 2, honestly. But yeah, again, I don't want to get like too ahead of myself. But yeah, I guess the overall plot structure it's pretty basic, but I think it works. Like, what do you think about like that? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely impressed with this first episode. I'm gonna be
Yeah, no,
honest
me too. Yeah.
because Life is Strange 2 wasn't the best. Gonna be honest, but that's just my opinion. So fuck off. This is definitely a very very good start. I'm really liking Tyler and Allison and like their relationship, just because the way the game starts is that they're like they haven't seen each other in 10 years because uh, plot twist, Tyler took the blame for Allison killing
Hmm.
their mom, and I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's why in like one of the memories, if you see it, it's like this we already lied to them once, so we're just gonna keep going with it. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Hmm.
So then when it was revealed, in the story that it was like, oh, Allison actually killed their mom and not Tyler, but Tyler took the blame for it. I thought that was like a pretty good like way to also engage with the gameplay, because the mechanic for this one is just like memories. It's just like you going through memory lane because you haven't seen each other in 10 years and you're going through the old house. So the way the gameplay works is like, it's pretty much like most graphic adventure games, but you'll be interacting with your environment in optional ways. You have to like look around the house to like find these memories and like actually discover them and see what it was like back then for these characters.
Hmm.
And Tyler being a trans man, I really didn't have a problem with it. I think that the way that they are tackling that sort of topic in particular and that idea and theme is very good. Because yeah, when like when Tyler interacts with people that they haven't seen him in like years, they're like, oh wow, you're like actually a man. I'm like, wow, that sounds really fucking insensitive. Like, what the hell?
Um,
But
yeah, actually, it is something I want to touch on because I actually think it did that really well because while people, yeah, they're like super like not sensitive about it, but they're not. It's not
mhm,
like Life is Strange 2, right? Where it's like it dealt with racism, but I think it dealt with racism like really cartoonish and not great. Cause it's like oh like when Daniel's like sleeping in the car, right? And then you just have this guy like, oh, you're Mexican, like build the. I know people are like that, but still, like I feel like it made the writing super like one dimensional. Like obviously I'm like I'm
mhm.
Mexican too, so like I don't really like those people either. But it didn't feel like it felt like kind of cartoony how they did it. I feel like this game like handles that trans stuff a lot better because you could tell everyone's like kind of uncomfortable, but they're not being super like transphobic about it. Like they're being insensitive about it just because they don't know because they live in like this middle of nowhere in Alaska. So you would expect them
Mhm.
to act like that, but no one like I don't really feel like anyone's like super like mean spirited. They just don't really get it, which makes more sense. I don't know, it feels more like the writing just feels more mature that way, I guess, if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
it just makes sense that yeah, they wouldn't be comfortable with it and like just you know, like how it is and things like that. I don't know. I thought it was better written than Life is Strange 2 with how they handled racism and things like that. And I just think Tyler's a good character too. I think they did a good job explaining like his things and things like that, about him being a trans man and stuff like that. Um,
Yeah,
and
definitely. Having him be more of like the main character compared to Allison, I think was the correct move. Just
yeah.
because, this motherfucker was in jail for like 7 years or whatever, and then when he got out, supposedly they're like, what was it, Uncle Eddie or whatever, kept
Hmm.
Allison away from Tyler still and things like that, or like Tyler didn't want to meet Allison just yet because he wasn't ready. Which there's like a complicated past there, which like I think the way they explained the past stuff through gameplay and through like dialogue, I think was also handled pretty well. But overall, like I'm very impressed with episode 1 of Tell Me Why.
Yeah.
Out of 3, which has me expecting that this is gonna be like a very like obviously like short, but also be like very concise and like to the point.
And I think that's good. I think if it drags on, like, I feel like in Life is Strange 2, like the whole like church thing just felt like filler, or like there's some things that just felt like filler. Like, why is this even here? So I think having a better like a like a shorter story that's more concise, has better characters, is more focused, is
More
always
grounded, like
yeah,
you said.
more ground. I just think the writing is just better in general. Like, it probably helps that the characters are like adults now, like they're not like teenagers, so they kind of know what's happening a little bit. Like, obviously, they're still like 20 somethings, and we could relate a little more to that now, I guess. Yeah, obviously, I love teenage drama too because it's just stupid shit. But still, I definitely think the writing is a lot better in this game. And I just didn't talk about this yet. I really do like the power in this game. Like I was talking about in Life is Strange 2, and not to keep comparing it to, but it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah.
Like I felt like the power in Life is Strange 2 again was too bombastic. Like you couldn't really use it too much. Like it was only used during the climax of that episode because that's the only time you could really like make it work. Like it wasn't a subtle power. This one is a subtle power. Like you could see memories. Like both of you could see the memories, and you have like you could like talk telepathically, like the twin telepathy or whatever the hell it's called. So I think that's really neat too. Like it's a cool way to like have a subtle thing and like sort of like talk to your sister or brother and like just be like, hey, do you think I should do this or that or what? Like I don't know. I like it. I like how more subtle it is and how it meshes better with this sort of gameplay than just like having telekinesis or anything like that. So yeah, overall, I am really enjoying the game a lot more than Life is Strange 2. I think it's doing things way better. It's obviously I love murder mystery stuff, so that's a rarity down. Like it's interesting to learn what the mom was really thinking since they were both so young, so they couldn't really remember too well like why she was doing things the way she did and things like that. So now that they're older, they could figure out what really happened. You could figure out that she's a more maybe complex character than they gave her credit for, like what's been going on with her. So I don't know, I just found the story way more interesting. I like the characters a lot. I like the powers a lot. And yeah, I'm highly enjoying it. I'm very happy. It really redeems Life is Strange 2 because I know Life is Strange 2 has its fans, but I wasn't one of them. So I'm happy to see Don't Nod really focus on like just what makes their games good and having like this sort of like small town like mystery thing. Obviously, all the games shouldn't be like this, but I think going back to form like this is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Xbox for throwing the bag at them. Like,
dude, yeah, because I played this on Game Pass, and I could talk about Game Pass some other time because I haven't really dabbled too much in it. But yo, Game Pass is great. I'm just playing this game basically for like $5, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I paid $30 for Steam because I was like, oh, it's on Game Pass. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Game Pass.
Now I know that.
So, yeah.
But yeah, definitely shout out to Xbox for throwing the bag at them because the production for this game, like if you go all the way back to Life is Strange 1, like holy shit, like this is night and day, like 100%. But yeah, like you said, I'm also very much enjoying this first start of Tell Me Why. I think we'll know what our full opinion of the game is once we actually finish it, obviously, because I think for the most part, episode 1 for like Don't Nod games are pretty good. But we just have to see where they progress with it.
You're very correct. Yeah, episode 1s are usually very good, so maybe that opinion could change. But as of right now, as of episode 1, I think it's really good. But I guess we have to see until we beat the whole thing.
Yeah, and definitely just one last thing I want to talk about is like exploring and like the gameplay and stuff. Like when I was playing Life is Strange 2, it didn't feel like I had to do that as much. But in this game, I'm like, I want to see like what other memories and things like that. Yeah. So I think that for the gameplay for this one, it definitely feels more engaging for the player. It might be more boring for like spectators because like, bro, this guy's fucking going back up the stairs to like look for other things. I'm like, yeah, but just for like the player and like the gameplay itself, I think that is definitely more engaging.
Yeah. I
also, did you solve that puzzle on the door?
Yeah, I solved it. I actually like the storybook puzzles because you have to like get context clues from the story itself. So you have to be like, oh, the bear wants a protector, so that's the sword, and the like the moose wanted this thing, so it wanted that. So yeah, I actually thought it was pretty clever, and I know there's a lot more of those puzzles in the other episodes, so that's gonna be pretty interesting. But yeah, I kind of like the whole storybook thing. It's pretty neat.
Okay. So now let's get into the last bit in the show, which is the Super Mario 35th Anniversary Direct. We're gonna go in order because the last thing we're gonna talk about is obviously the 3D All Stars collection. So first, the Game & Watch. It plays Mario, and it can be a clock.
Yeah.
It's limited.
It's cool.
So any collectors out there that want that, November 13th. I believe pre-orders already went up on Best Buy or place order page or whatever. So we'll skip that over real quick. But Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. This is pretty much like their Super Mario 3D World Deluxe. It's coming out February 12th, 2021, and there's going to be a cat Mario and Peach and a cat Peach amiibo. So what did you think about Mario 3D World, like, before this was even announced? Like, what was your opinion on, like, the base game?
I really like 3D World. Obviously, I think like everyone else, I was pretty disappointed when they first showed it for the Wii U, because I'm like, oh, this isn't like an actual 3D Mario game. This is lame. But then when I actually played it, I'm like, oh wait, this game is really good. Because I really like 3D Land as well. Like 3D Land was great because the level design really reminds me of Galaxy, with like just how it's structured. Obviously, it's structured like a 2D Mario game, but like you can move in 3D. But a lot of the level design did remind me a lot of Galaxy, which is my favorite 3D Mario game. And 3D World just did that like 10 times better. So yeah, I ended up really liking 3D World like quite a bit. If anything, I think I like it more than Odyssey, just because I think I like more platforming challenges type things, which Galaxy and 3D World are full of. And Odyssey is more just exploration based, which is fine. But I think I just prefer like platforming in Mario more than exploration. And yeah, just having it deluxe edition plus maybe like a new world. I don't know what Bowser's Fury is supposed to mean. I think it's supposed to be a new world, which is really cool. New content's always good. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to playing the game again, because I looked at when the game originally came out. I'm like, oh, it came out like 2015 or something. The game came out 2013. I'm like, that's 7 years ago. It's gonna be 8 when this comes out. I'm like, that's crazy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing the game again.
Yeah, I definitely really enjoyed my time with 3D World when it came out. I don't know where like this sudden like wave of hate came from. I guess people started like replaying it in like recent years. Like, yeah, this game's not that good. I'm like, oh, was it? I feel like I had a really good time with it when it initially came out all the way back then in 2013, I guess. Jesus. But yeah, I'm very excited for this new version of 3D World to come out. When it comes to like these like ports from like the Wii U era onto the Switch, I haven't bought any of them yet, I think. So, or except for like Bayonetta. But I'm definitely going to have to check this one out because I really want to play 3D World again. But I'll let you take the next one because this one's interesting.
This one's actually really cool, which is like, all right, but let me tell you. So Super Mario 35. So this is a battle royale starting the same way that Tetris 99 is. It's like literally the same exact layout, right? Like you have all the boxes to the side of you plus your main screen. So you just play the game, and then when you like kill an enemy, it gets sent to another player, and you can sort of choose it. Like in Tetris 99, when you send garbage blocks to them, you can send it to like whoever has the most badges or some random player, things like that. It's sort of the same exact thing. And yeah, it's basically just that, but Mario. And I think that's super neat. Like that's super cool. Since I'm not really that into Tetris, but I thought the sort of setup was cool. But having that with Mario, I'm like, that's really sick. There's only 35 players, probably because 99 would be like a mess. So yeah, that's cool. It's free for all Switch Online members, so just like Tetris 99. But here's the really stupid thing. It comes out October 1st, 2020, but it's only playable until March 31st. Like 2021. Like why? Like that makes no sense to me. Like this seems like such a cool thing just to have, and maybe you could update it with like Super Mario World and maybe Mario Brothers 3 and just have like more power-ups and things like that. But no, they're just gonna stop it in like March 31st, which is really dumb. I hope they make it so you could like buy it at least, but having it only playable until then is like, it's just super weird. Like I don't know, what are your thoughts about that?
I mean, 35 players is just them being like, hey, 35 anniversary, whatever.
Yeah! Wow, but still, it probably would be a lot. It's all good.
Yeah, 99 would definitely be OD. But free for Switch Online members, that's sounds standard. But only available to March 31st, 2021. I feel like they're not, or like they're just playing into like the whole like everything for like Mario's 35th anniversary is like limited or whatever. Right. Which there's reasons for Mario All-Stars that I have an idea, but for this one, it's a little hard for me to like argue as to I'm okay with it being limited, because I feel like that this is like such like a cool concept, and I think that a lot of people would be playing this for like a while. maybe they just saw like there was like a huge drop off with like Tetris 99 after like the first like couple months, so they were like, all right, we'll just like end it, I guess. But I feel like this one might be a little different because it's Mario and there's like other Mario games they could probably add on top of it. Maybe they'll bring it back later as not like a 35 anniversary thing. Maybe they'll increase the number of players, add games and things like that. Obviously, this is just me speculating, but I think that if this does well and like they see like a ton of people actually play this and like actually enjoy it, they'll probably bring it back or have it stay around, whatever the case is. But yeah, it's only playable for a limited time. I think limited time for like anything, especially digital, is really weird.
Yeah,
so
it's super dumb.
But next thing is definitely very interesting. Mario Kart Live Home Circuit is pretty much like a Mario Kart toy that you can play with like the Switch, and you'll be like using like set tracks, I guess, in like your room, and like you could do things with it. It's weird. But this is definitely made for like younger kids and like things like that. It's gonna come out October 16th, 2020. It's probably gonna cost a lot of money. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, it's $100.
Holy shit. You said 100 bones?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is crazy. I mean, but they have to like program and like create like the toy to like connect to the Switch console and things like that. So it's probably like Bluetooth or whatever the hell is in that goddamn toy. But yeah, that would be a very expensive Christmas gift, I will say.
I honestly think that the technology they're using looks really cool. Like this like AR like sort of thing. Like I definitely think it looks neat. But yeah, it definitely is not. Like, it's definitely not made for me. But I really do appreciate like the technology made into this, and it looks fun if you're a kid and stuff like that. Like, I would like this as a kid. It looks cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks really dope. And of course, the last thing, which is like the big thing that has been rumored since like the beginning of this year, I feel. I don't know.
The worst kept secret ever. The Super Mario 3D All Stars finally got announced. It's coming out September 18th. It's gonna have Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. It's gonna have different like sort of Mario 5 controls for the Switch. They're gonna be in higher resolution. It has a music player. And there's some bad things in here too. There's no GameCube support for Sunshine. And here's a really stupid thing. It's limited production until, again, the end of March 2021. Physical plus digital. So, yeah.
They are really limiting a lot of what's going on with the Mario 35th anniversary, which is kind of weird. I mean, like, they did that with, like, the Mario All-Stars thing for, like, the Wii for, like, the 25th anniversary. Yeah, but, like, that was just, like, a disc version of Mario All-Stars, Yeah. But, like, this is literally, like, a Switch version of Mario 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. So, for the port itself, like, it coming out in general, 2 weeks from now, by the way. Like, that is kind of crazy. Yeah. I'm all for it, obviously. It is a little strange that Galaxy 2 isn't in here, but I have a theory that they're going to use Galaxy 2 to like make a Galaxy 2 Deluxe or something like that, or like have it launch alongside with like Switch Online, like Wii games or whatever the hell they're going to do in the future. Nintendo's definitely thinking ahead, and they definitely do a lot of things on purpose. So when it comes to this collection in particular, it being limited, obviously the knee-jerk reaction is to be like, what the fuck is this shit? Which is understandable, but I think the reason why they're doing it is because they're going to eventually launch Nintendo Switch Online N64 games, and they're going to have Mario 64 be like one of like the sort of like forefront games for it, but they don't want the game to also be available physically, so they want to push this sort of Switch Online service, right? So they don't want it to be available in both ways, but I'll let you talk right now.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know, this collection, like, obviously it's great, you can play 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. That's always good, a good thing. I don't know, I just felt like maybe I got spoiled by all the other recent like collections of older games recently, especially by like Sony or like Activision, I guess. With Crash, Spyro, got Medieval and some other remaster, even other like that Saints Row 4 remaster had like a bunch of work put into it for no reason, like updating the graphics and things like that. So I was kind of hoping there was a little more work put into these. Like, obviously, I didn't. It's not like, I can't blame Nintendo, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like the bar is a little higher now than just putting them all in one like case, And like, you really couldn't put Galaxy 2 in there. like I know they probably like they're planning something maybe, but just not having Galaxy 2, just adding another Wii game from 10 years ago it just seems kind of weird. And I was really, I mean, obviously this is just hopes, you know. I was hoping at least Mario 64 would get like an insane trilogy, like sort of like touch up, like make it look really pretty, because this is like a big, you know, it's 35 years, you know, like to make
Yeah.
Mario look good and things like that. So I was a little disappointed. It was like, it's just Mario 64. I mean, whatever, it's fine. But and it's $60 by the way. Like
Oh
I bought it
yeah,
on
the
Amazon
game
already.
is 60.
So I mean, yeah, I'm gonna buy it anyway. But
Yeah, I think price. I was like, oh, it's 60. Oh, okay, whatever.
and
Because like
that's crazy. Like the Insane
that
Trilogy.
is a little crazy.
Yeah, the Insane Trilogy and Reignited Trilogy, all done up graphics and everything, $40. This game basically just ports for $60. That's insane to me.
Yeah. So the reason why I think that happened and why like these are just like straight ports that are a limited release
Yeah.
also has to deal with Nintendo's philosophy of like them trying to keep like the quality of their products sort of like there.
Right.
So like obviously with this 3D collection, like it's just straight up ports. They probably could have done this a while ago. They probably could have done this a lot of times, you know? People are like, so like when's like the Zelda collection coming out? When's this collection coming out? Like Nintendo knows that they got like good ass games and they could just re-release them and just keep piling up money. But if they do that, they're going to lose their value obviously. So with them like making this a physical and digital limited release and also charging $60 is them saying that we still think that these games are still like hot bomb, really, really fucking good, which they are. I may argue Sunshine isn't, but that's just my opinion. But regardless, I still bought 2 copies of the game because it's going to be a fucking limited release. So I want to have one opened and one sealed because I love Mario. And I think that this collection is definitely very special just because of how long it's been rumored and how 2020 has been going. And I think that this collection is definitely going to be very, very special. But 100% after March 21st, I think maybe in March 2022, this game's going to be like, you know, like $100, maybe even more than that, like physically, because it's not going to be available, period. But yeah, it all has to go back to like Nintendo's philosophy. And like, if you don't understand that as a Nintendo fan, like, I think that is kind of like, you need to like understand how Nintendo views themselves is like, all right, our games are like this value. So they view it as that value. So they're going to charge it at that value. And yeah, like these are just straight up ports with just modified Switch controls or whatever. But you're gonna be like, oh my god, it's $60, like you said, Damien, but you still bought it, right?
Yeah,
like there's no way you're not going to buy it, especially since it is a limited release.
Yeah.
Like that even feels even more pressure for you to actually buy it now, because if you don't buy it, it's not gonna be available. Despite you not wanting to pay $60 or whatever, you're probably still gonna, you know, bite the bullet and, you know, fuck it. I guess I gotta buy it because what other choice do you have to play these games on the Switch now? So. And yeah, Nintendo knows this, and they obviously went through with it, which is fine by me. It's just that I understand that Nintendo does things the way they do because they have a plan or they understand the value of their product. So
yeah, I mean,
that's enough of my rant.
It makes sense. I still like hate it, but I bought it anyway. So I guess who's the real sucker here? I guess me.
Yeah, definitely. It's just how Nintendo works, and I think that a lot of people on Twitter just need to like get over that. And like the whole like no GameCube controller support for Sunshine, I mean,
you gotta let it go.
If it's that, yeah, if it's that big of a deal, it's like they have third party like PowerA, like they create like GameCube Switch controllers. If it's that big of a deal to you, just use that. But then again, they don't want to like buy another thing or whatever. But I mean, it is what it is, I think, at the end of the day, because there's always going to be the GameCube version of Sunshine still there. Yeah. And I think that despite this announcement, that version of the game is still going to hover around $40, $50, $60. Like that game is still going to be at its value that it is now, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, it's definitely like a lot of little things that people are upset about when it comes to the collection still, which I'm like, which some people may view the limited thing as like a big thing, which it kind of is, I'm going to be honest. But it's just how Nintendo wants to operate, and it's just how they want to do. So all you can do is complain on Twitter, but it's not going to change anything. So
yeah, basically.
Yeah. So is there anything else you would like to add to this discussion, Seth?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian Podcast, episode 44. We will be back 2 weeks from now with another episode.
See ya.